The second semi-final in the 1997 Copa América. Brazil against Peru, the tournament favourites against the surprise package in the South American Championships. Vast international experience against the youngest squad in the competition. It is very much tonight a footballing case in Santa Cruz of the giant against the underdog. Peru have been complaining about the appointment of a referee from Costa Rica, Rodrigo Badilla, claiming that he doesn't have sufficient international experience. The referee has hit back, saying he's been an official at the highest level for some 12 years, and that those complaints are misguided. And one would assume also that they haven't really put the referee in the best frame of mind to deal with Peru with some sympathy tonight. Certainly the refereeing caused controversy in the first semi-final last night, an explosive encounter between Bolivia and Mexico. But Bolivia awaiting in the final, and the organisers here close to their dream climax to the competition. The host nation against the world champions, I think that's what they would certainly like from a financial point of view. Brazil, though, with still some work to do tonight. And Ronaldo, still a young man in terms of club football, very much in limbo. His protracted transfer, if it indeed is ever completed, between Barcelona and Inter, still in the melting pot. But there's no pressure on Peru tonight. They've exceeded expectations already, with their goalkeeper Miranda particularly conspicuous with his form in the quarter-final. Remember, Peru have beaten Uruguay, the holders. They've also knocked out Argentina. What a treble it would be if they could account for Brazil here in Santa Cruz. But Taffarel and his teammates, 4 wins out of 4 in this competition, all here in this stadium. No tiring or tiresome travelling for Brazil, unlike their opponents, Peru, who are appearing in a third different venue. They came second to Bolivia in Group B, and then, as I say, shocked Argentina in the quarter-finals in that match when Argentina ended with 8 men. So the second semi-final is underway. The ground not full, but a pretty reasonable crowd. Both Peru and Brazil with plenty of fans in the stadium. And Denílson trying to make it a fast start here for Mario Zagallo, whose ambition to win the Copa América has been very conspicuous with the way he's been talking about his team. Peru, the average age for the squad is only 23, and relatively in the novice category at this level. But they've had some real individual successes as well as a good, strong team pattern. Here's Muñoz. And Reyna pushing forward into Roberto Carlos's territory and stopped with a certain amount of style by Brazil's defender on the left, Dunga, who's such a marvellous controlling influence on this team of many talents. But you do feel the first 20 minutes is vital for Peru. If they can bed into this match, then anything is possible. But if they go behind early on, and there's a threat here, Denílson! Oh, catastrophe for Peru. Less than 2 minutes gone. They did it, and Denílson pounced. First real break from Brazil, and Reyna made a terrible error when he should have just whacked the ball away. He wanted another touch. The other touch came from Denílson, and Brazil lead. It's his first international goal. The 19-year-old who's absolutely bristling with promise at this level. And he's forced his way into the team for this tournament. And now he's, well, put one foot in the final for Brazil. And if it was a very difficult task for Peru when the game kicked off, you wonder now whether it's an impossible one. Very few give the world champions a goal start like this and hit back, but Brazil's record, as we pointed out often to you over the past couple of weeks, a record in this tournament outside of Brazil is by no means impressive. Even their die-hard fans are concerned that there might be a banana skin or two around, and that they might just slip by the wayside again. But they are so quickly into their stride in the semi-final. Dunga. Here's Romário, one of the several players in the side with the shaven head, the streamlined look, if you like. Roberto Carlos is another. Romário. Denílson. Great opportunism, though, from the young midfield man who ran on and kept going, hoping something would happen from that cross. Reyna, who hasn't had the happiest of tournaments. He's been sent off in a game. He gave away 2 penalties in the quarter-final, one of which was missed by Argentina, or should we say saved by Miranda. And now a defensive error of cataclysmic proportions, given the timing of the slip and the fast start that it's enabled Brazil to make. But here's Palacios, one of the more experienced men in the Peruvian side. Muñoz. And there's an indication with the flick from Roberto Carlos that Brazil are bursting with confidence and looking to improve their position even further. Leonardo. Now Denílson. Well, one of those that defenders always feel hard done by, the player who gets the free kick, rather looking for the sympathetic whistle, and he's got it. Denílson. Well, it's a pretty acute angle. Gonçalves has come up. Dunga giving the goalkeeper some work to do. He's already scored once in the competition with a fiercely struck free kick. Brazil's captain against Colombia here. Hidalgo's in trouble. And Peru trying to get players around the ball and try and get a foothold in this match before any chance of winning it disappears over the horizon. An angry reaction there by Dulanto, getting a little warning from the referee for his petulance, but no sign of emotion from Zagallo. But he's not usually short of confidence, and he must be feeling that Brazil are well on their way towards a trip to La Paz. And here's Ronaldo, goalkeeper, out quickly. Even then he made a bit of a meal of it. Peru have won the Copa América on 2 occasions, in 1939 and 1975. In 75 they did knock out Brazil in the semi-final. The competition was run on very different lines in those days. It was a home and away basis. And the final, in fact, went to 3 games against Colombia. They needed a playoff in Venezuela before it was settled Peru's way. Dominguez was an attempt at a sharp turn. And a free kick given against Palacios for a foul on Conceição. And then there was something of a shot at goal from the number 17, Carasas, which the referee may have interpreted as kicking the ball away in anger. But he didn't produce a card. Gonçalves and Aldair. Much has been mentioned about Brazil's potential problems in defending. Dunga's ball through the centre. Those doubts surfacing in the tournament in France when Brazil finished second in a 4-nation contest, second behind England overall, having let in 3 goals to Italy, and just prior to it they'd lost 4-2 in Norway. So there's been some chopping and changing at the back, but the facts are that in their last 5 internationals now, Brazil on 4 occasions have shut out the opposition. The exception to that was here against Mexico when they were 2-0 down and hit back to win 3-2. Should they lose tonight, of course, they would play Mexico again in less than 48 hours' time in the match for 3rd and 4th place. That looks, at the moment, much more likely to be a date for the Peruvians. Who are still just trying to clear their heads and get their senses straight, having made the worst possible start. Torres. Muñoz. And now Palacios, who certainly has the verve and the range in his game to be an influence against a Brazilian midfield that has been accused of not perhaps being creative enough. Back goes Aldair. There's a classy touch from one of the midfield men, Flavio. Goes on ahead of Cafu, and no one really tracked him. And then his pass forward finds Leonardo offside. We've had 10 minutes of this Copa América semi-final, profitable for the tournament favourites. They lead Peru by 1-0. Gonçalves, pressed by Dominguez. This is Aldair. And the ever-available Dunga. Roberto Carlos staying on his feet when Carasas went down, but the ball deflected in to where it needed some retrieving by Aldair. Glanced on by Denílson, not really a proper contact, and any touch that was aimed for Romário didn't find him. Good challenge by Dunga. Torres, they need some strong leadership, Peru, and they're beginning to show 1 or 2 more positive signs. Aldair does get it away. Dunga again with an air of control about his work. Cafu taking it on at pace. Leonardo dispossessed though by Torres, and Rebosio was there as well. But the one thing about the early goal, if Peru had it in their minds to just mount a holding operation here, there is no extra time in the Copa América, so over 90 minutes and a successful defensive policy and penalties, and then into the lottery, really. But now Peru have to come out and play, and we're seeing just 1 or 2 examples that they might just be able to do that. Aldair. Here's Dunga. Roberto Carlos. Just his movement getting him involved again. The Real Madrid player whose agent's negotiating a very lucrative extension of his deal with the Spanish club. So Reyna almost putting Muñoz into trouble. Hidalgo, who's actually scored in 2 of the games, and vital goals too to beat Uruguay, and the one that turned out to be the winner against Argentina in the quarter-final. Well, it would be foolish for Brazil to be complacent here. And it is Hidalgo who earns this free kick. Not quite the altitude here for the long-range shooting that we've seen in other venues, where the ball just seems to take off through the air. But Taffarel has a difficult save to make. And that's the type of incident that will put some spirit, you feel, into Peru. Ambitious effort there from Palacios. Down goes Leonardo, wanting a free kick, doesn't get it. Probably deserved it, in truth. But Taffarel given some work to do from the set play. And there was a deflection off Dunga, which made it awkward for the goalkeeper, who was pleased in the end just to parry it. Flavio. Palacios trying to pull the strings from midfield for Peru. Carasas, the number 17. Reyna. This is a move of some sophistication from the Peruvians, and Reyna fizzed it across, looking for Cominguez in the centre. It went straight at Taffarel at pace. But they do have such power on the break, and Romário is clear and has made a real hash of it. It's the classic situation that looks so simple, but the mind starts racing, and sometimes there's just too much thinking time for a player who is often so accurate when it comes to just basic instinct. One-touch finishes. He couldn't supply a second for Brazil there. They've got a corner from Cafu's cross. And one can only assume he thought Ronaldo was keeping pace with him, and he was trying to play it for him, because there was no sort of shot from Romário. Ronaldo was actually trying to make up the ground, but nowhere near where the ball actually went to. Here's Leonardo with the corner. Gonçalves in there with Muñoz. And it's another corner. Word passing between Aldair and Gonçalves about the positioning. There's Dunga coming in. Leonardo and his preoccupation with his left foot at least got them another corner, when if he'd have played it with his right foot, he might have been able to create a chance. So Leonardo tries again. Real swerve on it, and not an easy take for the goalkeeper. But a quick and accurate clearance. And Magallanes, who's been brought back in after suspension, trying to probe on from midfield. Denílson. Well, he had actually knocked the ball too far ahead, but he was tripped by Muñoz. Free kick to Brazil, quickly taken. Romário. Now Palacios. Muñoz. Comes for Magallanes. This is Dulanto, the Peruvian captain, one of the few who was involved in the Copa America a couple of years ago. Leonardo. We feel if Brazil just keep cool, there are going to be plenty of opportunities on the counter-attack. Peru doing their best to repair the early damage, and certainly pushing players forward at the risk of really being ticked off on the break. Muñoz. Now Reyna. Torres to Hidalgo. In the quarter-final here, Brazil conceded plenty of possession to Paraguay, but maintained their solidity that Zagallo was very pleased about. Romário, flag is up, and in any case there was no chance of that pass reaching its intended target. Cafu, who now has to chase back and gets all tangled up with Magallanes. And it's a free kick to Peru. Reyna. Blocked by Roberto Carlos. Palacios. Who scored a stunning goal in the Copa America 2 years ago, and was looking to repeat it here. "20 minutes played now, and Brazil got a goal inside 2 minutes, but haven't been able to improve upon that." Roberto Carlos cut out by Muñoz. Casas. Well, they do say Roberto Carlos has a weakness in his defending, but Peru haven't got past him yet. Dunga. Effective pass for Romário. So far, it hasn't been his evening. The striker, who's now approaching, I suppose, the veteran stage, certainly enjoying a renaissance with the national team, having got his act together again. Denílson. He's a real crowd pleaser. Leonardo and Cafu. Dunga available once more, but Leonardo looks for something further forward. The continuing movement of Cafu, who missed the quarter-final with suspension, and there was some suggestion he wouldn't get back in the team. Romário, flag just went up, and again it wasn't a chance that was going to be taken. That's 3 good positions that Romário has found himself in. Ronaldo over Romário, no one else arriving that far forward, brought out by Hidalgo. Palacios, Magallanes. And Muñoz, the player with that little pigtail hairstyle. Hidalgo. Now Carasas. Palacios is there again to try and orchestrate this Peruvian attack. Muñoz. But look how well Brazil have got numbers back. And inevitably a challenge was coming in, and Dunga made it as effectively as usual. Well, it's a well-grassed surface here, but it's not the billiard table that many feel should be always the way in international competition. Carasas. 4 forward for Peru. Leonardo connecting with his opposite number, Roberto Palacios. Peru get the free kick, take it quickly. In the short passing style of theirs, trying to make progress. But again, stopped in their tracks. Again, Dunga very involved. And Ronaldo. Romário, will he reach it? Well, he was shoulder to shoulder with Rebosio. Now the two Peruvians, the goalkeeper and his centre-back there, trying to tell the referee to book Romário for diving here. Romário seemed to be winning the race. It certainly was a fall that one would have deemed unnecessary. And the upshot is a goal kick. But Romário, having had perhaps more joy in the game to this point, might have approached that with more confidence. He certainly didn't kid the referee. Reyna. Torres, though, took his eye off the ball. Roberto Carlos. Just over 20 minutes to go to half-time. Cafu. And Flavio making a move to the right-hand side. This is Leonardo. And the French-based Brazilian again. Leonardo to Dunga, who earns his living in Japan. Roberto Carlos. Well, deflected and flew across just out of the reach of the lunging Ronaldo. There's going to be a corner. And in that position, Roberto Carlos has bigger danger as anyone in the world, and it comes for a shot, a goal. The ball didn't get too far before it got a Peruvian touch. In comes the corner, and Palacios able to play it away with a certain amount of authority to the hard-running Hidalgo, while showing plenty of enterprise. Peru again. Denílson. Well, time for drastic measures, perhaps. Muñoz. Roberto Carlos. Flavio finding Denílson, who plays for Sao Paulo. Too a little bewildered there, but he couldn't get in the cross, and he's getting some complaints from his more senior colleagues. Mario Zagallo, in praising Denílson, has also pointed out that he's got to learn when and where to apply his skills to the maximum effect. Good climb by Cafu. Leonardo Cafu had also got forward again and was clear on the right-hand side, who prevented the pass. Dunga. Ronaldo squeezing it cleverly infield to Denílson. Flavio lining it up. Well, it's the sort of goal that Brazil have as a trademark, and Peru put to the sword here in the 28th minute. Flavio had the time and they couldn't close him down, and it zipped into the net, way beyond the reach of Miranda. It's a fabulous goal, and it's Brazil 2, Peru 0. And it would be a very, very brave man now to put any money on the Peruvian chances of reaching the 1997 Copa America final. They've been quite circumspect in their last two games here, Brazil in beating Colombia 2-0 and Paraguay by the same score. But they've got to that position so early in this semi-final that, well, they would disappoint their followers if they don't go on to give maybe even an exhibition feel to this semi-final. Denílson. Headed out by Dulanto. Dunga. Torres. So Denílson with the first, Flavio Conceição with the second. One from a really sloppy piece of defending by Peru, the first, and the second struck with all the swerve and the style associated with the most exciting football nation anywhere in the world. Aldair. And Taffarel preventing Carrasas hitting back in similar vein. And sometimes Taffarel, you feel, doesn't come far enough off his line, but he was well placed there to deal with the dip on the shot and concede the corner. And Hidalgo certainly took that outside the quadrant and with a moving ball right under the nose of the assistant referee as well, who really should have ordered or waved his flag to tell the referee to order a retake. Roberto Carlos, a measured pass. Palacios. This is Muñoz. And where's the ball? I think he was turning around to have a look at the referee before he was sure. But it's a throw, nothing more to Peru. Palacios. Hidalgo. Palacios again. And coming through at pace is Magallanes. And again, look at the number of Brazilians that were back. They're trying to balance out the honour of winning this tournament and their ambition to do so with what is also very important for them, to get a feel of the preparation as Leonardo buys a ticket in the raffle, but not the winning ticket. But they're wanting this competitive preparation for the World Cup finals in France in less than a year's time now, and with no qualification tournament to be involved in because they are the holders and have their place in the finals as right. This is a tournament that they're taking even more seriously than usual. There have been cases in the past when they haven't sent their strongest available squad into the Copa America. That explains to some extent why their record is just the 4 wins, only twice as many as a humble country like Peru. And all those 4 wins, as I'm sure you all know by now, have taken place in Brazil. So this group of players looking for some history for Brazilian football, or another chapter in that glorious record. And here's a truly glorious goal. It's all very well saying that a goalkeeper shouldn't be beaten from that range, but that doesn't take into account the ability to make the ball almost sit up and talk that Brazilians have. Denílson, Roberto Carlos, still going. Dunga. Peru playing with the of a team who feel, well, they might as well be hung for the sheep as the lamb. And they've certainly not tried to stop Brazil by violent means. That's much more difficult these days, of course, with stricter refereeing and stronger guidelines from FIFA. Cafu with the cross. Denílson, well, his first touch took him well out of the penalty area, didn't it? Denílson again. Dunga. Aldair. Now Gonçalves. And Peru finding it hard to get a touch of the ball at the moment. Dunga. For Romário, who has fallen into the offside trap again. Just over 10 minutes to go to half-time. Brazil 2, Peru 0. Semi-finals, usually very tense affairs, all about the results rather than the performance. But given that gift goal right at the start, Brazil have taken a lot of their tension, if they indeed were feeling it, out of the occasion. And as semi-finals go, this is amongst the most comfortable. It's also got an entertaining feel to it, which isn't always the way because of the importance of winning or losing at this stage of any competition. And Peru are playing their part in the passing philosophy, which has predominated. And that's one that's well off target. Freddy Tenero, the Peruvian coach, who's normally the assistant to Juan Oblitas, but has been given responsibility, main responsibility for this competition because Peru have brought a young side. More on that in a moment, because Romário gets a change of fortune. He rather toe-ended it in, and it's 3-0 in the 36th minute. Well, other chances have passed him by. That must have been close for an offside call, and then the shot rather went through Miranda. But Dunga driving forward, slipping it through into the striker's path, and Romário doing the rest. And this could end up being very embarrassing for these young Peruvians who, as we've stressed, have done so well to get this far in the competition, and we're looking forward to testing what they've learnt and their own youthful ability against the team that provides the ultimate challenge in international football. Well, so far, I'm afraid they're failing the test. Dunga at the heart of it for Brazil, with another shrewd piece of football, and Romário, who you perhaps wouldn't have felt was going to score then, after what had happened to him earlier in the game, did score. But now to the goals from the midfield men, Denílson and Flavio. Muñoz. Razas. Reyna. Here's Torres. Hidalgo. In 30 games between the two nations, Peru have only won on 3 occasions. Ronaldo. Dunga again. It's Romário again. The goalkeeper was committed. If he'd got it on target, there was another goal there for the taking. Well, forwards will always tell you at any level of the game that they don't mind missing. It's not getting the opportunities that worries them, and Romário has had several. That's the one success. But he'll feel if he keeps running into the right areas, there will be more goals to come for him and his teammates. This is Brazil's 5th match in this competition, and they've now taken their tally of goals to 15. The heaviest hitters in that respect in the tournament. Gonçalves. And it's Romário again. Can he walk it in? He's round the goalkeeper, blocked. And Romário goes down, and he might have a case this time, but no, it's handball against him for falling on the ball. Well, I did say we'd get more opportunities. And as Peru looked for offside against him, then the flag stayed down. Now, should this have been a penalty? Well, again, you don't have much sympathy for Romário because he was going to make the most of any contact. Miranda was lunging for the ball. But amazingly, Ronaldo hasn't yet had a sight of the Peru goal. He's got a target. He's within range of Hernandez, the Mexican, who's the top scorer in the competition. Hernandez with 5, Ronaldo's got 4. So we're in the final 5 minutes of the first half of a semi-final that may well be over as a contest, but may well be worth staying very much in touch with because of the potential for more goals for the world champions. They've conceded a free kick here. Have a look at this. That's the way Romário fell, but I think forfeited any feelings that the referee from Costa Rica might have had of giving a penalty. And Gonçalves tangling with Hidalgo, the free kick allowing some attention for Torres. Well, Taffarel's had a couple of saves to make in this first half. Palacios. Magallanes. Now Muñoz. And Brazil picked the right moment to push on again. Denílson. Sent tumbling by Magallanes. And I think if the scoreline had been a bit closer, that would have been a yellow card. Denílson. Referees don't really have the license to show that sort of sympathy, but you do feel that the official, Rodrigo Badia, doesn't need to rule with a rod of iron here. It's not the explosive atmosphere that we saw in the first semi-final. Peru accepting their fate and trying to improve it, but it's very, very difficult. Palacios. Magallanes get it forward quickly to Dominguez, but Cafu would come across on the cover. And here's Roberto Carlos. And I should think that was a genuine attempt at goal. Palacios. Magallanes. On from Hidalgo. Well read by Dunga. Dunga has been talking of retirement, not just from international football, but from competitive football full stop. After the World Cup finals in France, he wants to live back in Brazil, and he's a player who still, you can see, would have enormous value because of the cerebral work of his game as much as anything else, but he's showing plenty of energy tonight as well, as you'd expect also from much younger Denílson. Bought by Magallanes, and it's Dunga on the ball again. The master organizer. Aldair. Peru still scurrying about, trying to apply some pressure. Ronaldo. Now Flavio, one of the goal scorers in this first half, which has not got much longer to run. But Denílson, they were sucked across and allowed him space, but they were free to his right now, looking rather daggers at the young man. But it's in that part of the pitch where he's entitled really to take on opponents. Reyna. They're in stoppage time in Santa Cruz. Roberto Carlos wriggling out of trouble. Leonardo. Dunga to work it to the left again. Denílson. Dunga. We feel well aware that half-time is upon us, it seems. And it has rather been men and boys in this first half of the second semi-final. Ronaldo really feeling that he deserves a little bit more sympathy from the referee. Romário, and Ronaldo was frustrated then, and he's got himself a yellow card, and we shouldn't forget that he is still a player of tender years, despite all the ballyhoo that surrounds him, and of course all the achievements that have caught the eye in his short but spectacular career. But when your team is 3-0 up, and if you get yourself a red card, you miss out on the chance of playing in a final. And you do need a bit of calming down, and everyone has recognised that in a Brazilian shirt out there. And now he's got to be careful. It was a show of temper because he'd just been fouled. The disciplinary system of the Copa America is always, how shall I put it, quaint. It's certainly different from most other major tournaments. And all the yellow cards that the players had received up to the semi-finals were wiped out, which spared Dunga a suspension from this game, and one or two others as well. And the only way now that players can miss the final, should their nation qualify, is by getting sent off in the semi-final. And Ronaldo has just put himself in the frame for that by a moment of youthful stupidity. The time delay and the half-time that will shortly be upon us, I would have thought would, you never know, Zagallo might even substitute him. Players like Edmundo bursting to get some action. Leonardo. Ronaldo is waiting in the centre for Cafu's cross, and there's another one. Leonardo, 4. Great header. Well, that moment sums up the first half of this semi-final, emphasising Brazil's superiority over this young Peru side. They couldn't stop the supply from Cafu, and they lost Leonardo, whose header was firm and true. And the half started terribly for Peru, and it's ended on a very similar note. If Peru were going to stand any chance of causing a really major upset tonight, they had to begin the game well. They had to bed into it solidly and start to make Brazil think that all was not quite as straightforward as the strengths on paper of the two teams suggested. But it's turned out very much according to the will of the favourites, because it was a terrible goal for Peru to concede, the nature of it, in the second minute for Denílson to nip in, and there was no looking back for Brazil from that moment. Flavio hit a wonderful second goal. Romário's had a good number of chances, has just taken the one to make it 3-0, and then right on half-time, a thumping header from Leonardo, and you just wonder where this is all going to end up. We'll all be thumbing through the record books to see biggest semi-final successes, but at half-time in Santa Cruz, Brazil have already banked 4 in this semi-final of the Copa America. They have really booked their place in the final against Bolivia. Still 45 minutes to go at half-time here. Brazil 4, Peru 0.
Saturday.
Welcome back to you all. You're watching a semi-final stroll in Santa Cruz for Brazil. 4-0 up against Peru at half-time. And straight away onto the attack at the start of the second half with Cafu. The goals have been flying in Malaysia for Brazil. Their under-20 team have scored 10 in 2 consecutive matches against South Korea and Belgium. And you just wonder where this Brazilian senior side might end up on the scoring chart if they continue with the same appetite that they showed, having been gifted that early first goal. And now Roberto Carlos just giving an indication that he got a clip and looked lame for a second. And the players will be concerned, and you won't be perhaps blaming them in the second half if they also keep a bit of fuel in the tank for the final on Sunday against Bolivia, and all the problems that that will bring for even a side as mighty as Brazil going to the altitude of La Paz. We understand that Brazil's plans are just to travel on the day of the game. Magallanes, well, it went beyond Taffarel, but beyond the far post as well. Peru only playing for pride here. But to their credit, they've tried to do things the right way. They've just been outgunned. Leonardo trying to be a bit too clever there, looking for Romário. Palacios, Magallanes. Palacios having to scurry. Zagallo has been talking again of his exploits as a coach, describing himself as a winner, born on the right day, born with victory in his blood. And it's going to be another Brazilian victory under his guidance here, of that there's no doubt. It's just a question of by how many. Here's Muñoz for Peru. Ronaldo has come out for the second half. Casas, it's a well-measured ball, and Aldair having to give a bit of depth to the defending behind Gonçalves. And a perky beginning from Peru to this second half. Magallanes trying to get there, Cominges trying to get there. Short corner from the Peruvians. Magallanes. And the break on here, a whole cluster of Brazilians trying to coordinate the counter-attack. But now they have to check back as the energetic Magallanes takes on Dunga, and he should leave him in a straight sprint. Gonçalves came across, and somehow Dunga does do the decisive piece of clearing, and not just a case of hooking it out of play. Cafu kept it in and arrowed his pass to the feet of Ronaldo for Romário. Still Romário! Well, they picked up where they left off at the end of the first half. Inside 4 minutes from the restart, a 5th goal for Brazil. And Romário just took it on and made light of an angle that looked as though it was going to widen to an awkward dimension. Had to go across to lose Rebosio, but he kept him away and then buried it past Miranda. So his second of the game. Palacios. And unabashed Peru still try and put some passes together. Torres. Palacios. And it's a bold break from him, and he's made some space for a shot, and Taffarel hangs on, and if there'd been a fumble then there might have been some consolation for the likes of Cominges, who were following in. But the pass from Ronaldo and Romário making the most of the space available, and the shot zipping into the Peruvian net. So the 5 matches, the 5 that they got against Costa Rica in their opening game in this Copa América. Only Mexico, of their 5 opponents, have scored against them, Brazil, so Hidalgo takes. And the Palacios was there as well, and some of the crowd thought it was Palacios who hit it, and it hit the outside of the net and had some of the crowd thinking it had actually got in. Here's Romário. Great acceleration, and Miranda off his line. Well, you wouldn't begrudge Peru a consolation goal. Maybe even the most bigoted Brazilian fan would feel a certain amount of sympathy for this young side who have been boys asked to do a man's job tonight and have understandably been found wanting. Hidalgo. Carasas. Reyna keeping the ball in, but only to the benefit of Roberto Carlos. Aldair's pass into a good area. Denílson available, and then knocked off balance. By Palacios. Nothing really Machiavellian about the challenge. Dunga. And Ronaldo, it will be pointed out, hasn't yet scored. Good hustling by Dunga, terrific appetite. And Ronaldo is in now. And he is going to get a goal. No, he's hit the post. Having left Miranda in his wake and beating the offside trap as well. Hidalgo. Palacios still trying to be creative, still trying to at least produce a rewarding moment or two for a side that is going to be buried here really without trace. Palacios again with a clever pass. Magallanes. Flavio having to nick it forward. This is Dulanto, and now Palacios. Aldair and Dunga both having a swing at the ball. Roberto Carlos and then Aldair clear it up to Denílson. Dunga. Here's Leonardo. Cafu on the gallop in close attendance to number 2. Peru still have an outside chance of qualifying for the World Cup finals, but not too many of these players have been involved in the qualifying games. Dunga. They have a big game against Bolivia early next month in Lima, Peru, in the World Cup. Who knows, Bolivia may then be the reigning Copa America champions, but they'll need all the advantages of altitude against the big guns of Brazil, although the heavy artillery here was just slightly off target. Ronaldo wrapping the post. And it's all very well, players, and they do say this often about it doesn't matter who scores the goals as long as we win. But if you're a forward in a goal glut such as this and your name's not on the list, it can be at least personally embarrassing. And Ronaldo has that embarrassment at the moment. Maybe he's saving himself for La Paz on Sunday. Maybe he's just simply distracted by all that's going on in his club career. But he's on the ball again here. Runs into a pack of Peruvians. Flavio comes off Hidalgo. Romário gets a boot to it. And Cafu with a teasing cross. Miranda nowhere near it. And there is number 6, stroked in by Leonardo. His second of the game. for the record in the 56th minute. Cafu's cross attracted the goalkeeper, but once he didn't get there, he was in no position to cope with a shot of any great accuracy. And Leonardo supplied that. Smooth as you like. Well, the player who was the left-sided defender in the Brazil team in the World Cup finals of '94, that is until he got suspended for that elbow on Ramos of the USA. But he's now a midfield man with a real eye for goal. That's the position he's been playing for his French club Paris Saint-Germain, and he's collected 2 international goals to his name in this romp for Brazil. Cafu. Flavio, Dunga, skipping Palacios, and just bending the pass beyond Cafu, who, as we pointed out, had a big part in this goal. Claimed by Leonardo. Well, it's going to be a triple substitution for Peru. Sainz, number 18. 13 is Prado, and 20 is Frank Palomino. And I should think some of those players pretty happy to come off in these circumstances. Reyna amongst them. So here's Palomino, who's been a lively substitute in other games in this tournament. Magallanes. Denílson, the player who got caught. Sainz, the number 18, one of the 3 substitutes, did play in the quarter-final from the start. Denílson just trying to be a bit too tricky there, and Dominguez raising a boot. And now Mario Zagallo has decided that he's got to consider the match on Sunday, and Dunga goes off, Ronaldo goes off, and Mauro Silva is on for Dunga, and Edmundo for Ronaldo. So however many Brazil end up with here, Ronaldo's not going to be amongst the scorers. Leonardo, Edmundo straight away into a position. Oh, and Romário nearly nipped in on some hesitant defending. Here's Edmundo, but he was offside. And he'll be hungry to feast himself on opportunities that will surely continue to come for Brazil, who lead by 6-0. 2 for Leonardo, 2 for Romário, and the first 2 of the game from Denílson and Flavio. Palomino brushing Flavio aside. Here's Sainz. Dominguez. Well, it's against all the odds, but it's a gallant attack again from Peru. Mauro Silva, another the World Cup winning side, of course, from '94, who lost his place really for the first time for a very long time when he got suspended in the Tournoi in France. And Zagallo liked what he saw with Dunga in the more central holding role in midfield, and Flavio to the right where Dunga had been playing when Mauro Silva was in the side. Palomino. No letting up from Brazil defensively, but a little trip on Comingues by Cafu. Sainz. Now Comingues. Good save by Taffarel. He's not easing up either. Well, there's been ambition in Peru's play with a limited supply of the ball and a hopeless task, but they've kept on going. And they've got a corner here. Prado getting his head to it. Jalminha about to be introduced for Brazil. Leonardo. Romário, Edmundo. Sainz. Palomino. It's got the air of a training game, really. Both sides have accepted the inevitability of the result, and they're just enjoying themselves. And we're enjoying watching, even if it has been a mismatch. Well, Leonardo's evening's work is over. He's got plenty to smile about. Scorer of 2 of the 6 goals. And he's another one who's being saved for Sunday. So on comes Jalminha, who got the opening goal against Costa Rica when Costa Rica had played above themselves and created 1 or 2 openings in the first 20 minutes. And it was Jalminha's free kick that rather steadied the Brazilian ship. Denílson, and that's pretty cynical from Prado. A body check from the realms of ice hockey, and it properly produces a yellow card. Edmundo. Now Cafu. Too long for 3 in the centre. Prado, the player who was booked for the body check on Denílson. Palomino giving it away, but Torres has it back for Peru. Who really never gave themselves a chance with the way they went behind so early. Romário, who's on a hat-trick. Oh, now. Well, that might wipe some of the smiles off the Brazilian faces. Now, if that's a little hamstring tweak, there's not much recovery time before the final. Hidalgo. We've still got 25 minutes to go. And Romário was chasing in here, and that's always ominous. You feel something in that area down the back of the thigh. Free kick to Peru. Edmundo, Mauro Silva and Jalminha, the 3 substitutes permitted, all used. Hidalgo. Rebosio. Now Prado. Magallanes. Palomino. well, there's going to be at least some defensive tests for Brazil. And in terms of pressing and getting players around the ball, they did it well enough then. But back comes Prado. Interception from Roberto Carlos. He's a hard man to knock down, Mauro Silva. Now Jalminha. This is Edmundo. And there might just be less incision from Brazil now. Denílson had taken up the central striking position, now just checking back onto the left. Gonçalves coming across and playing it against Hidalgo. Well, no wonder the local television director here concentrating again on that incident with Romário, because it may have a very big significance for the events on Sunday. On form, of course, you'd back Brazil against Bolivia, but there are other factors in La Paz. Brazil have been playing in this tournament at the much lower altitude of Santa Cruz. Edmundo. Flavio is offside. So it's by no means a formality. The offside decision confirmed there. It was close, but the assistant referee got it right. Magallanes. Prado. Hidalgo. Sainz trying to quicken it up for Peru. Just too strong and robust that time was Aldair. Roberto Carlos trying to trigger something for himself, and he was impeded by Prado, who has been cautioned since his arrival as a substitute, and I don't think on that occasion could really have gotten out of the way. Roberto Carlos is getting the wind back in the sails. Cafu, Jalminha, who's very left-footed. Jalminha again. Flavio. And Edmundo couldn't get there. And this is Palomino pressing on for Peru. He kept in play here by Cominguez, who's been the one real out-and-out striker in this Peruvian setup and has toiled very hard for the team. Got a bit of personal glory with the 2 goals that beat Venezuela, but Brazil break out again until the assistant referee finally got the flag up. This is Sainz. Gonçalves. Now Jalminha, whose career in Brazilian football has been slightly held back at times by his hot-headed approach to life. Cafu. All the fates have actually conspired to help Peru and balance it out a bit, playing 10 against 11 Brazil now. Palomino. I think maybe if Brazil were reduced to 5 or 6 players, then Peru might have a chance of getting back in the semi-final, but it would take something of such unlikely dimension. Jalminha. Out comes the beleaguered goalkeeper, Miranda. Palomino. This is Sainz. He was singled out unusually because Peru have, until tonight, really enjoyed this tournament. Sainz was criticised by the coach for his lack of contribution in earlier games. Torres. On from Prado. Gonçalves getting control back for Brazil. Jalminha. Denílson on the left. Edmundo needs some help and gets it from Cafu. His first touch wasn't as good as it might have been. Tried to dink in the cross, and it was Jalminha who was hoping to get his head to it. There is a long-standing resentment in Brazil about Peru going back to the 1978 World Cup finals in Argentina, when Brazil were denied a place in the final because Peru lost heavily to Argentina. Their commitment that night in Rosario has been questioned in Brazil. Sainz. Roberto Carlos having to work hard in the air. Dominguez challenging him. Yes, it was almost 20 years ago when I think I'm right in saying that Argentina needed to beat Peru by 4 to pit Brazil for a place in the final under the rules of that particular competition, and they actually won 6-0. And Peru find themselves 6-0 down here. Well, Taffarel's misjudged it. Sainz. Oh, well, it wasn't far away. Goalkeeper seemed confident enough that he knew where his goalposts were. He certainly wasn't confident on the initial corner. Whipped back by Sainz, but no one attacking it at the far post for Peru. Jalminha. Silva letting it run. It's very much the last rites, really, of this semi-final. There's still 15 minutes to go, but Brazil soft pedaling now. A player short because of injury, having made their permitted amount of substitutions. Edmundo. Jalminha, Mauro Silva, and offside. Edmundo, who came on and scored against Colombia in the last group game on this ground. They'll have happy memories of Santa Cruz, though, will Brazil. Silva. Been away a long time as a group of players, these Brazilians, having gone to Europe, and that can take its toll, however successful you are. But they're very together in this match, and Cafu with a shot that was probably always going to finish up outside that near post. Cafu with the captain's armband since the departure of Dunga. And the goalkeeper did get a touch to it, as you saw, so it is a corner for Brazil. It's not their strongest suit, making the most of the set plays in what you might call a European style, with putting lots of bodies into the penalty area and just going for straightforward headed chances at goal from an orthodox ball in. They tend to come up with the other options. They're never shy of the short corner to draw opponents out. Roberto Carlos, who hasn't graced this tournament with a spectacular goal, although he's come close on one or two occasions. And he's skipping forward here, did very well to keep it in. Jalminha, who kept on running and got his reward, but he goes across to say thank you very much to Roberto Carlos, and that is 7-0. So despite being down to 10 men, Brazil keep the cutting edge. Great run by Roberto Carlos. Not great defending, it has to be said, and Jalminha controlled his shot and rather shinned it into the corner, and the tally keeps on rising. Jalminha getting his 4th goal. It's only his 10th cap for Brazil. So he's another option, and the competition for places in the side is growing all the time. Mauro Silva. He's never scored for Brazil in more than 50 appearances. Edmundo wondering whether Miranda's going to make a mess of the back pass. He can only put it out of play. Well, you have to congratulate Brazil for keeping it going, especially with the final looming large. They've really put Peru in their place. Torres. There have been suggestions here in Santa Cruz that this was a practical Brazil who had not brought all their repertoire of virtuoso skills with them, that they were being judged on straightforward and sensible performances like the wins over Colombia and Paraguay. But this is fantastic, and there may still be more to come. Denílson applauding the cross. There's a corner, again it goes short, and there's still 10 more minutes of torture for Peru to have to endure. And torture it certainly is. Oh, look at this. Dummy shown to Miranda there by Roberto Carlos was out of this world. And he just couldn't find someone with the cross that time. Miranda is now untangling himself after this. Whoops, now you see it, now you don't. Well, some of the crowd are heading for an early exit, but most are staying to give Brazil the ovation at the end that they thoroughly deserve. Edmundo, he's away from Hidalgo. And Rebosio gets a free kick. Could have easily been obstruction by him, but the referee that the Peruvians objected to, not officially, it must be said, but they certainly made their feelings clear in the media. And he certainly hasn't done anything detrimental to Peru in this game. It's been a combination of their own deficiencies, but most of all, the brilliance of Brazil. How often do we say that? And they set the standards that the rest of the world has to match if there are going to be new world champions in France in a year's time. One want to have another casualty on the list. Flavio quickly back on his feet. Edmundo. Another like Jalminha, who has a reputation for misplaced aggression in club football. Cafu, the corner. And Mario Zagallo with one or two complicated characters in his squad has certainly got plenty of managing to do. It's not just a case of putting out 11 fantastic individuals. Palomino. Flavio, still not looking quite 100% after that injury a moment or two ago. 4 goals in the first half, 3 in the second from Brazil. All round in total command from the moment they took the lead inside the second minute. Mauro Silva. And far from playing with 10, it looks as though at times that they've got 20 out there. So cleverly do they keep the ball. Gonçalves. Aldair. Knocked forward by Roberto Carlos. Might have just been putting the ball out of play, recognising that attention was needed. Is it Magallanes who's down there in distress? They're all in their own way feeling the pain of this, the Peruvian players. They, I'm sure, deep down in their souls expected there to be a gap in standard between the two teams, but maybe not quite as wide as it's turned out. Yes, there it is again on your screen, 7-0. Magallanes back on his feet, determined to soldier on, unlike the other number 11, who sensibly, Romário, went off as soon as he felt that tweak down the back of his leg. And it's hardly a handicap, Brazil. Here's Jalminha, and it's Aldair. Can he get through? Dulanto said no. Palomino, and now Magallanes. That was rather obvious. Edmundo, he's got Denílson to his left. And Edmundo goes down. Denílson goes on. Good advantage play by the referee. Denílson is there again. Edmundo was quickly back on his feet because he thought he was going to have a chance of scoring there. And he's a player who lives and breathes on the number of goals that he gets. Palomino. No, we've hardly had a say here, Peru, but they're still trying to at least have the final word with a goal of their own. Edmundo goes down, falls heavily, but he was up with his wits about him as Denílson tried to roll the ball into his path. Mauro Silva. Well, you don't get many semi-finals like this in major tournaments, but it has been a privilege to bring it to you because of the quality of Brazil's football. Jalminha. Mauro Silva. Roberto Carlos. Now Denílson. Stopped by Muñoz, who's kept on going as the Peruvians have, without losing their heads, without any repetition of the scenes which blighted Mexico's semi-final defeat to Bolivia last night. It's a match that's lacked that passion that was in evidence in La Paz. But there's been a purity about the play that's been so easy on the eye. Cafu. 2 minutes to go. Are we being greedy and wanting more? Still Cafu clearly has that appetite himself. Across to help him, Roberto Carlos. You don't often see those two in such close proximity, Cafu and Roberto Carlos. This is Jalminha. And that's offside against Edmundo. Sainz. On from Dominguez. Mauro Silva is there tidily away to Jalminha. Nudging it to Denílson, and he's continued his run into the centre. And Denílson was looking for him. Denílson, who certainly took Europe by storm with the way he played against Italy. But with a very disarming manner, he said, when surrounded by the European journalists the next day in Paris, Mario Zagallo was looking on in avuncular fashion. He said, well, I know you don't know about me, but in Brazil I'm a star already. And they've had all the stars out tonight. It's the 90th minute, and Peru almost now, well, about to be put out of their misery. They would have come into this game with all the traditional hopes that the underdog has in a game that so often does produce the upset. But as I stressed in the first half, they needed to start this semi-final well, and it was just the opposite. Denílson nipped in for that crucial first goal, a real piece of opportunism. Now he's showing a little bit of temper out there, and one or two of his teammates coming to remonstrate with Dulanto, and having praised the players for their calmness, with the one exception of Ronaldo just before half-time when he got a yellow card for some stupid retaliation. We've had a minor flashpoint as we go into stoppage time. And there was some retaliation there by Denílson after the foul. But they couldn't make full use of the free kick, and why should they at this stage? Mario Zagallo seemed to have something to say about it all. But the organisers of the 1997 Copa America here in Bolivia have got their dream final. Brazil, the world champions, have booked their place to play the host nation, Bolivia, in La Paz on Sunday, and they've done it in the grand manner by 7 goals to 0. Denílson in the second minute. Flavio's spectacular long-range effort made it 2-0. Then Romário and Leonardo got a couple of goals apiece. Jalminha got in on the act as well with the 7th goal when Brazil were down to 10 men because Romário went off injured. One hopes just to protect a slight strain and make sure that he's available for Sunday. There'll be some news on that, I'm sure, to dissect in the next few hours. But at the moment, we're all sitting back here and gasping in admiration for the marvels of Brazil. Of course, it's a young Peru side, and we should remember that, but we should also remember that they beat Uruguay and they knocked out Argentina, and they came here in good heart to have a go at the world champions, but they've been put in their place so effectively. And Brazil have sent not just a message around South America here with the margin of victory. It's a result that will resound all around the football world. The result is Brazil 7, Peru 0. From me, Martin Tyler, until the next time, good night to you all.